Okay, welcome to this is our retro channel. Today we're going to be looking at Manic Miner, which is one of the classic Spectrum games that was released. So for those of you unaware, Spectrum was one of those home computers, and what I'm going to try and do is see if I can remember how to complete this. So this is very much a kind of classic platform game, probably one of the first platform games that was ever released back in the kind of 1980s. And as you can see, you just got to guide him through 20 lethal caverns. So let's see if I can actually remember how this works. So you can see it's a simple kind of process. I've got some obstacles to avoid. I've got some keys to collect, and then down in that bottom left-hand corner, you can see that I've got a little box I need to get to once I've collected all my keys. Falling is definitely not good in this. You can't fall too far. You obviously got a number of objects that you've got to try and avoid. This is quite fiendish for its kind of day. And there are no kind of second chances. If you don't make the cut, then you are absolutely gonna lose. Ooh, close. So this is part of my retro collection. So Spectrum games, very much some of the first fantastic games. So I'm going to do a few of these, but I've got to be honest and say I don't know if I've ever actually remember completing this. I remember playing it an awful lot, but I don't actually know if I've genuinely close. Genuinely if I've actually completed this. I guess see how we get on. You have to be careful of things like if I jump up now, will my head go through the platform and get caught by the penguin, and timing wise. So I think I've got this. But yeah, I mean, you know, this is proper kind of classic from my childhood. Without wishing to kind of harp on about when I was young and all that kind of stuff, but genuine like whole summer spent playing these ridiculously amazing games, which we'd never seen anything like it's like before. Yeah, I'm going to go back and see just how well, out of any kind of nostalgia, are they actually any good? Was I actually any good at them at all? And just whether or not... it's close. Yeah, who'd have thought that, you know, from this kind of humble beginnings we'd get games like The Last of Us and, you know, any of the big kind of big budget games that we get today. And who wouldn't want to wander around an abandoned uranium works, let's face it. So you can just hear when he jumps and he's close to kind of potentially dying from falling off, you just get that kind of sound, which just... There we go. So, no lives lost so far, which is pretty good, I think. There we go. But there's a couple of kind of tricky... I think you have to be a little bit careful here. If I fall off there... I can't believe... Just ridiculous how tense this is. Considering it is, you know, it's ridiculously low tech, but absolutely phenomenal. And like I said, spawned so many amazing platform games. Ooh, I think that was a little bit lucky. I almost got distracted then. Yeah, whether or not you'd, you know, Eugene's lair being chased by toilets, I don't know whether or not you'd be able to make that kind of game nowadays. Oh, yeah, I think I got incredibly lucky there. You get these really kind of tight turnarounds where You can't see it, but I'm kind of off the back of my chair at the moment, just trying to make sure that I'm... And this is it. So this one here is a particularly tricky one, because I've got to make sure that I am 100% making that kind of... I'm going to just wait there until he goes past, not going to take any risks. Always remember this being one of the more challenging ones. But certainly, you start to see where some of the classic games come from, and, it's not too difficult to see how Mario comes about from games like this. And he's just blocked me off. I was so busy talking, I've just been blocked off by this little... Ugh! What a ridiculous waste of a life. You see how you suddenly get punished for what should be a straight... Oh, I think I've made another mistake. Oh! And that's it. All of a sudden, what I thought was a kind of home run there has shown me to be not very good. I can't believe it. I honestly thought that was alright, but clearly I've made some really stupid mistakes there. I seem to recall that I might get extra lives, but I guess that's something I'm going to find out. Oh. So, as you can see, you do get punished. 2 lives, that's it, you're out. No save points, no kind of restart the level. You go all the way back, and if you've just done 19 levels, then that is an absolute killer. So, let's try this again then. So, like I said, this is literally just to see how far I can kind of get. Oh. I've forgotten just how tense it is, just jumping over things. Just absolutely ridiculous. We see kind of incredibly scary kind of stuff from some of the more recent Resident Evils and that recent trailer from The Last of Us, which are really visually challenging. And here I am, kind of jumping out of my seat as I try to jump over an inanimate plant. It's absolutely ridiculous, but just a real treat. Oh, and that was me sneezing that just cost me a life. Oh my word. Okay. So, something tells me that I am just... Oh. Right, okay. So I'm already up against it because of a stupid sneeze. And I'm only on room 2. So, something tells me I might not make it through all 20 levels. Nope. And something tells me that something's gone wrong there. Okay. Let's try that again. It's the wonders of modern technology. There we go. Okay. Let's try this again then. Do excuse the kind of... the little sniffly nose I've got there. And there is some exceptional music which doesn't seem to come through on this emulator, which is a bit of a shame. But again, if you talk to people of a certain age and you kind of ask them, did they have a ZX Spectrum, did they have a 48K, 128K, then, this will be one of the games that every single person remembers owning and kind of being challenged at. There's 2 versions, so initially you had like the 48K, which sounds ridiculous nowadays, and then if you were perhaps that little bit more well-to-do, as it were, you could upgrade to the 128K, which came with a built-in tape recorder. Which, you really felt that you were somebody then when you had one of those. You didn't have to rely on, a bought tape recorder from somewhere else. But yeah, I mean, it may seem simple, it may seem, really low end, but I would highly recommend this. If you want a proper challenge, just you against, just your pure skill level without having to rely on lots of, functionalities and dodges and rolls. You literally got 3 keys for this entire thing, and it's an absolute treat. Yeah, like I said, I mean, without, again, wishing to get too nostalgic, spent many summers playing. This gave me my proper love of video games, and it was certainly, just as I was kind of growing up, the kind of stuff that was kind of coming through, and people were using this to learn to code their own games, even though they were kind of text-heavy adventure games without any graphics. It was the first kind of programmers starting to come through in the games industry. And, without stuff like this, who knows what we kind of ended up with. Oh dear. Even though I know I've made that jump, just the sound of him falling just fills me with a kind of level of dread that I might have missed it. Oh, I thought I mistimed it then. So, even with the plenty of air supply, so I'm not going to run out of time, but it is definitely just a game of proper skill and just seeing whether or not you can actually beat these things. Right. Yeah, so there'll be more in the series. We'll kind of have a look at some of the ones that may again be very similar to things that we've seen previously. So things like one of my all-time favourites, which is the original kind of Gauntlet. And a few others which were kind of precursors to some of the stuff, and some of them I think you might be surprised just how graphically, oh dear, again concentration goes and I die. Yeah, just wait there. So some of the later games were, in some cases incredibly complex and visually, were something like things we'd never even thought about before. And I'll take you through some of those over the coming weeks. So if you do have any classic kind of missed the button there, ones that you'd like me to play, I'd like to see again, more than happy to kind of pick those up. So just leave me a comment. I'm on Twitch or on YouTube, and I'd be more than happy to kind of play some of those classic and your favourites. Certainly I'll be going through some of mine. So you've got the classic kind of forgotten game, which was just the essential. So Night Law, Saber Wolf, Surf Wars, I think, is another really good, strong game that has plenty of action and plenty of kind of stuff that you'd be familiar with. So let's not make the same mistake you made last time. Wait till he gets to the top of the screen to give me enough time to escape. There we go. And look, you can even see we've got a little Pac-Man there on this little homage to obviously the granddaddy of all the games. So let's think about how we get through this. I think if I go round, maybe that might be. Or I could fall off and die. So there we go. We'll have one more go. But yeah, I'd absolutely urge you to go out there and find an emulator. Lots of them are kind of royalty free now because of the age of it. But just start exploring some of these classic games and this kind of rich history of, it doesn't have to. Oh no, I hate when people say this. It doesn't have to be about amazing graphics. It can be about really simple kind of challenges. But some of the games that were produced and have been produced are exactly that. They're fun to play. They're challenging. There's a really good like Star Wars one, which was kind of at the time as it was all coming out, which sees you down in a trench and it's lots of polygons, and just again remember that looking really cool and really different to anything we'd kind of seen before. So yeah, just Spectrum wasn't the only one that kind of came out. There was Commodore 64 and the VIC-20 for some of the guys out there that kind of picked it up. But it's when people kind of talk about the Wii and how it kind of brought people together, I honestly think that this kind of thing did bring families together. They'd kind of, certainly me and my friends, we'd actually sit there and watch each other, because obviously multiplayer was a thing that I hadn't even thought at that point, just watch each other play, these types of games. The classic being Daley Thompson's Decathlon, and if you don't know who that is, well, congratulations, you're obviously not that old, but a kind of first sports simulator that kind of came out, and you just spend days hammering the keyboard just trying to make this little guy run as fast as he could. And I think we just lots of people coming together just to play games that they thoroughly enjoyed, and suddenly a whole industry is born, and it's a well-loved, well-documented, and let's face it, if you're playing something like this with a little man running around, I don't see how anybody could suggest that this has an impact on, people and the choices they make. So, that's one more level done. Starting to get back to where I was before. So this will be my last attempt on this. We'll just see how far I can go. Hopefully, I won't make any stupid mistakes. And I'm fully aware that that's the precursor to making a stupid mistake, where I kind of rush it and don't do it correctly. God, it really does. Get the old heart racing. Honestly, I know it every time, but that sound, you're fully expecting that kind of drop to happen and for you to lose a life. Okay, so not doing too badly. Still got my lives left. Should be able to finish this one fairly straightforward as long as I get my kind of moves right. Oh. Wow. Close. Tiny little jumps like that, which you should make, but you only need to be just like a couple of tiny millimeters out, and all of a sudden you've missed that jump that you've been lining up for ages, or you just come up underneath an enemy Okay, so we know that just jumping off there is not the answer because you'll fall and die. So I've got to go this way quite clearly. My guess is that I've got to go this way and that. Cool. Yeah. Okay, and then I'm going to go back across. Oh, hello. Okay. So, what have I got? I've got 2 keys left. Okay. So. That's nice and straightforward. I'm assuming I can go back up that way. Although, I don't reckon... maybe I... Oh, I'm going to try it. Oh, what did I do that for? That was crazy. So, over him. Kind of hoping that I should just... Now, you see... Just... Whoa... And it's not enough. So... And I can't reach it. How can I not reach it? How's that possible? What's... Oh. Ho, 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 ho. Yeah, that sucked, didn't it? Like, that's literally how good your kind of timing and jumps need to be. You're literally on the millimetre. Otherwise, you're stuffed. So, this one's a bit of a falling one. As you can see, you've got to make sure that you're not kind of doing that, which was really, really stupid. I can't remember how to actually do this. I think I need to kind of come down here and then jump up and go down that way. Because he's not affected. He can... magic kangaroo mouse that can walk on air. So we don't worry about him. No idea what it's called, the vat, but clearly... Drop down. There we go, and then oh, and I knew when I jumped it was a terrible, terrible choice. There we go. So, little bit of a showcase of some retro gaming for you there. Like I said, I'd highly recommend you go out there, get yourself an emulator. As I said, some of them royalty free, and just play some of these classic games. And I'll catch you up with some more the next time we come round to some retro gaming. Again, thanks for listening, and we'll catch you again soon. Take care.